The night shimmered with laughter, lights, and the sound of champagne glasses clinking against each other. The party was supposed to celebrate my wife's promotion, her big moment at the company she'd been devoted to for years. I had come dressed sharp, ready to stand proudly beside her to celebrate her success, to remind her that no matter how far she climbed, I'd always be there rooting for her. But the moment we stepped inside, I realized she didn't want me by her side at all. She floated through the crowd like she owned the room, smiling, chatting, brushing my hand off every time I tried to get close. When colleagues approached us, she introduced herself first, barely acknowledging me. "Oh, that's just my husband," she said once with a quick laugh, as if I were some footnote to her life story. The words stung more than I expected. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Just quietly observing the woman I had loved for nearly a decade, acting like I was invisible. As the night went on, she made it clearer. She was the star and I was an accessory. She laughed a little too loudly at her male co-workers' jokes, leaned in too close when he spoke, and even brushed her hand across his arm in a way that wasn't subtle. A few people noticed. One of her friends even looked at me apologetically. But my wife didn't care. She thrived on attention. And that night, she had plenty of it. I stood near the bar, nursing my drink, pretending to scroll through my phone so I wouldn't look like the man whose wife had forgotten him. But inside, something in me was unraveling. Not from jealousy, but from the realization that this was who she truly was when she thought no one was watching closely. I wasn't angry at the man she flirted with. I was angry at myself for still hoping she'd turn around, smile, and pull me back into her world. And then suddenly, she did something that broke the last thread holding me together. She laughed, tossed her hair back, and said loud enough for the people nearby to hear, "He's just not the dancing type, always serious." The laughter that followed was light, casual, but it burned through me. I kept my composure, took a sip of my drink, and smiled faintly. That was when I heard a soft, confident voice beside me say, "Then dance with me instead." I turned to see her best friend, Lena, stunning in a dark red dress, her eyes sharp, but kind. She'd been watching the whole thing, clearly uncomfortable with how my wife had been treating me. "Dance with me right now," she whispered, her tone not playful, but defiant, like she wanted to make a point. I blinked in surprise, unsure if it was a good idea. But something inside me, that quiet, broken part, finally stood up for itself. I took her hand. The moment we stepped onto the dance floor, the music shifted, a slow, rhythmic beat that seemed to hush the room. People turned. Curious, surprised. My wife's laughter faltered mid-sentence when she saw us. Lena's hand rested lightly on my shoulder, her eyes meeting mine with a look that said, "Let them see." We moved easily, not like strangers, but like two people who understood exactly what this dance meant. My wife froze by the bar, her co-workers whispering beside her. She tried to laugh it off to make it seem like she didn't care, but her smile twitched, faltered, and disappeared completely. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The man she'd mocked for not dancing was now gliding effortlessly across the floor with the very friend she'd once bragged about being too shy to compete with her. The whispers spread quickly. The balance of power in the room had shifted, and she knew it. Lena leaned in close and murmured, "You didn't deserve that, you know." Her voice was soft, but it carried weight. I smiled slightly, my eyes still locked on my wife's shocked face. "I know," I said, "but sometimes it takes one dance to remind people what they've lost." And that was exactly what happened. The crowd, sensing the tension, applauded when the song ended, a polite but awkward sound that filled the room. When we stepped off the floor, my wife came storming toward us, her expression a mix of fury and embarrassment. "What the hell was that?" she hissed under her breath. I looked at her calmly, still holding Lena's hand. "Just a dance," I said, echoing her own careless words from earlier. "You know, harmless fun." The color drained from her face as the realization hit her. She'd been publicly humiliated the same way she'd humiliated me. The rest of the night, she couldn't meet anyone's eyes. Her charm evaporated, her laughter gone. People whispered quietly and even her boss kept his distance. I thanked Lena for the dance and left early, walking out into the cool night air with my head high for the first time in years. Behind me, I could hear my wife calling my name, her voice trembling, but I didn't turn back. By morning, she tried to fix it. Texts, voicemails, apologies, but it didn't matter. That one dance had revealed everything that had gone wrong between us. Her pride, her cruelty, her need to make me small. So she could feel big. But I was done being small. Sometimes it takes losing the crowd to finally remember your worth. And that night, I didn't lose. I walked away with my dignity intact. And she lost the one thing she thought she'd never need to fight for.